and then there's this uterus in between, and the cervix back here. And we can tell when she's ready to ovulate by the size of the follicle. So I'll scan the follicle if she's good, and you'll see follicles. So we can see when she's ready to breed. That's really important, because then you can match the breeding to the ovulation. When the follicle, which is a fluid-filled sac basically, bursts, that's ovulation, releases the ova, goes down into the oviduct, like the fallopian tube, and actually fertilization happens halfway up the oviduct. So the sperm have to come from this end, they have to meet the ova halfway. We think, unlike dogs, horses ova probably only live about 2 days once they've been ovulated. They're only viable a couple of days. Sperm, at the most, maybe a day. We try to get within a day. Sperm, maybe 1 or 2 days. Okay? So we're trying to synchronize that ova and the sperm. You see what I'm saying? Don't want to breed the mare a week before. But dogs, that's no problem. We breed them a week before, 2 weeks later, they still get pregnant, right? They have a very long time. That's how you can have a litter of dogs that's got 3 different dads, right? So not the same in horses. So we use it for ovulation, and then we also use it for pregnancy. Once it's pregnant, that little embryo now, once the sperm have come together with the ova, that's an embryo. It comes down into the oviduct, into the uterus at about 6 days. It stays up in the oviduct for those 6 days. It's microscopic at this point, but it's growing very fast. It's actually doubling in size every day. By the time it gets down in the uterus, it's actually, you can actually see it. So one of the things that I do, my specialty is embryo transfer. I take those ova, flush them out with a high volume douche, basically, and bring them out, put them under a microscope, and I search for these little eggs. They're not actually eggs, they're embryos at this point. Size of a little tiny glass marble, basically. That's what they look like. And then we might take that out of this mare and put it in a surrogate mare that's at the same stage of a cycle. Okay, they both have to be basically the same distance from ovulation, so the hormones match up. And if we do that, we can get a pregnancy in the surrogate. Well, why would we do that? Well, this mare might have had some infections, might have had a bad foaling, might have got a venereal infection, things like that. She might be the champion quarter horse racehorse filly in the country. The reason I came to this valley was there was a quarter horse ranch right up there on Bear Valley Road. You can still see the old buildings. We had the first and the biggest, not the first, about the second or third, but the biggest embryo transfer lab there in the country. We did about 50 of them, and there was this, I would call him an entrepreneur. He was a very savvy money guy who went out and bought the best quarter horse running fillies in the country at the time. So, cool names, like Sixie Chick was the one. They literally paid $1 million for this filly. She was the champion filly, 2-year-old filly. Paid $1 million. Miss Mighty Mary, really cool, big, stocky, great, black mare, dark brown. They paid $330,000 for her. And then the best one of all was a big mare called Finely Tuned, which I love the name, and she turned out to be actually the best racer. They bought them when they were 2-year-olds. They're very young. They run quarter horses at 2-year-olds, which causes some problems on their legs and stuff. And then they raced them as 3-year-olds. We would flush embryos out of them here, keep them in training. There was a racetrack there. Ship them to Los Alamitos and run. So we flushed, 1 week we flushed an embryo out of Finely Tuned, like on a Tuesday. She shipped down and won a major race at Los Alamitos on Friday night. So pretty crazy stuff. And it worked. It was it was more of a sales kind of marketing thing, and a lot of hype.